Hey guys, and welcome to the Ban Rants channel, your home for NFL projections, predictions, and of course, your periodic rant. And today we're going to be starting with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2021 schedule. Uh, I didn't actually get to post the way too early predictions for the rest of the teams because by the time I had recorded them, the actual schedules had come out week to week. So, to be fair, the only NFC South team I didn't post the way too early for was Tampa Bay, so I'm going to start with them for the actual week to week. And if you like what you see, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and leave a comment down below if you want to see me talk about something else. And with that out of the way, let's get started. So, week to week, Tampa Bay's schedule I think is a lot more favorable than it was last year. And even last year, I almost had their projections right on the money with a couple of outliers, but we'll get started here. Week one, I expect them to win the opener. I do expect Dallas to have improved a little bit, but ultimately not enough to win against Tom Brady in Tampa. When the banner drops, I just don't think it's enough. Week two, you never underestimate a good divisional game, and that includes even Atlanta versus Tampa. But, I don't see. I mean, Matt Ryan and Tom Brady can have a pretty good shootout, but overall, I'm taking Tampa's defense over Atlanta's. Week three against the Rams. This has upset loss written all over it. But for this one, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Tampa and say they pull this one off. But week four in New England, I'm actually going to give that to New England as a win. I just think there's too much at stake. I think that Bill Belichick is out to prove that he can win without Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady is probably willing to prove that he can beat Bill Belichick's defense, but usually when Tom Brady plays a Bill Belichick-esque defense on the road, he doesn't exactly play very well. And even though it's in Gillette where he's played for 96% of his career, I still expect this to be an upset loss for Tom Brady. That being said, week five against the Dolphins, I expect that to be a win. Week 6 in Philly, I know it's a short week. In Philadelphia, that's a pretty rocky stadium to play in sometimes. But I expect Philly to have some growing pains. I expect them to be a team that's going to have a little bit of a trouble adjusting when the season begins. And this is still the early part of it, sort of going into the middle part of it. And while this could be an upset loss, I don't think it necessarily will be. At home against Chicago, this is a team that actually did beat Tampa last year, but that was in Chicago, and that was with Nick Foles. And we don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be, whether it's Andy Dalton, whether they just say screw it and put in Justin Fields. We don't know, and that uncertainty, that tells me all I need to know. And now, Tampa in New Orleans, this could also be an upset loss. I don't expect Tampa to run the table and go 6-0 in the division, even though that's not completely out of the question. But right now, I actually think that they're probably going to suffer an upset loss here. Just because the Superdome is a tricky place to play in, and I know that Tampa did win last time, but this is a revenge game for New Orleans. And even with Jameis Winston, I wouldn't be surprised if they pull it off. And speaking of revenge games from last year's postseason, against the Washington football team, their defense is pretty good, but their offense is, I guess. So coming off the bye, both teams are, so I can't really give it the benefit of the doubt to either one for that. But I'll give Tampa the benefit of the doubt for just having a more stacked team. The Giants in Tampa. Look, I know the Giants at some point are going to improve a little bit from last year based on their moves, and I know they're going to win some clutch games, but not this one. In Indy, I'm going to be the first to actually say that in Indianapolis could also be an upset loss, but I just think right now that Carson Wentz by now should be adjusted. So this is probably going to be a better game than people give it credit for. I'm going to say Tampa wins this one and then goes into Atlanta, gets the brooms out for the sweep. Now, at home against Buffalo, I gave them the win over the Rams because those are two pretty tough teams matching up. I'm going to go ahead and give the Bills this one because I don't think Tampa is going to be undefeated at home. They weren't last year, and I actually think the Bills could be one of maybe 2 or 3 teams that could actually beat Tampa at home. The Bills have probably the odds-on favorites to win the division in their respective AFC division. And I think that's actually going to be a big game for both teams, and Buffalo's going to come out on top. In Tampa this time, I think Tampa would win this one and split the series. I think by now New Orleans might have fizzled out, but we'll, of course, get to that when we get to it. In Carolina, this one I think Tampa's going to win. And then, of course, at the Jets, by now they'll probably have wrapped up the division and could be playing for home field. So I would expect Tampa to win this one. I mean, I know we've seen the Jets win an upset game last year, and I stressed their one upset game. But I don't see that happening, especially this far down the road. And I'm actually going to give the Panthers a win over Tampa. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because, one, I think the Panthers are going to be fighting for more than Tampa is right now. Tampa might have already clinched home field by now. They'll already have the division wrapped up, in my opinion. But Carolina, I think, is going to be fighting for a wild card spot, and whether they make it or not, we'll find out in a future video. But that's all I've got for you in this one. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel like I said, and I'll see you in the next one.